Now more than ever, innovative technologies are fueling change and sparking new ways of thinking. Collaboration between corporations and startups is key to staying at the forefront of these trends. However, finding the right startups can be expensive, time-consuming, and ineffective. But Plug and Play is here to help. As a corporate partner, you will gain access to a whole ecosystem of innovation. Discover startups that meet your tech interests. Stay updated on the latest trends and network with industry peers. We will help you during every stage of your innovation journey, no matter where you are and where you want to go. Get in touch today.
We are coming up to the final day of our spring summit, and we are closing the summit with one of my favorite vertical, sustainability. As you know, we've been active 2 years with Alliance to End Plastic Waste, with operations in Singapore, Silicon Valley, Paris, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Shanghai, and soon South Africa. I can tell you, since we committed to sustainability, I feel better. And we have done more than 20 investments in the past year, and we would like to increase that as we announced sustainable fashion as well as carbon reduction vertical. Again, I believe sustainability is social and moral responsibility for all of us. And no matter what vertical Plug and Play is active in, I believe the sustainability can play a big part of it in banking, in insurance, in healthcare, and of course, in consumer packaged goods like brand and retail. Again, I hope you have had a great summit, and you will join us next summit, hopefully in person in California. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Claxton. I'm the Global Director of Sustainability at Plug and Play, and I cannot be more thrilled and excited to welcome you all to the final day of our Spring Summit. Now, I know it's been an exciting 2 weeks, and you've been seeing and hearing from a lot of great startups, and we really want to wrap up these last 2 weeks and showcase these amazing startups that have been coming through the Plug and Play Sustainability Program. Now, before we get into today's event, I'd love to just tell you a little bit about Plug and Play for those of you who are new to Plug and Play, and tell you what we've been doing over the last 3 months with our startups and how we got to this part of our journey. So Plug and Play actually has humble beginnings. It really started in what we now call the Lucky Building, where our CEO, Saeed Amidi, was originally running a Persian rug store on the bottom floor, and he was renting out office space on the second floor. While he was renting out that office space, he came across some very exciting and new companies. He was able to invest in them very early. Some of those companies were ones such as PayPal, Google, Logitech, Dropbox, SoundHound, and he really caught that startup bug. So 14 years ago, he formally started Plug and Play, where we have been investing and working with amazing startups, but also working with a lot of corporate partners to help them connect in a very strategic way with these amazing startups. And also we have been also accelerating startups. So today, Plug and Play invests in about 200 to 250 companies per year. And we work with over 200 VCs and private equity firms around the world, helping them meet these exciting startups and deploying capital into them. Next, we still do corporate innovation. We work with over 400 organizations around the world, helping them work with startups to help them reach their digital innovation goals, or in our case, their sustainability goals, and help them create more sustainable products or help their businesses reduce their carbon emissions or go carbon neutral. And lastly, we run accelerator programs. So Plug and Play runs 60 accelerator programs all around the world across our 18 different industries verticals. And that's where you're going to be hearing today. We're actually at our graduation from our End Plastic Waste Innovation Program in Silicon Valley, where we accelerated 12 startups over the last 90 days. And today you're here to hear about their amazing progress and some of the partnerships that have been formed as a result of this accelerator program. So Plug and Play has had a rich history of investing. Not only have we invested in those companies that I mentioned earlier, but we've also invested in about 1,600 other startups. And today we have about 16 unicorns under our belt, and we cannot wait to see which one becomes the next great unicorn. And Plug and Play has a very large global reach. So we have a team of about 100 to 120 ventures associates and analysts that are actively scouting and sourcing companies from all around the world and all across the different industry sectors that we work in, bringing them into our ecosystem and then seeing if they're a good fit for us to invest in or to work with our corporate partners or be part of our accelerator programs. So today, Plug and Play has numerous offices across North America, Europe, China, Southeast Asia, and we've recently opened up offices in Africa and in South America. And as I mentioned, Plug and Play operates across 18 different industry sectors. So fintech, insurtech, brand and retail, media and advertising, energy, mobility, smart cities, travel, supply chain, real estate and construction, new materials and packaging, health. But today we're here to focus on sustainability. So we're going to rewind a year and a half to a little bit of a simpler time when we first announced our partnership with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. So this was back in October 2019, and this was really the foundation of our Plug and Play sustainability program. And for those of you who don't know what the Alliance is a consortium of about 60 companies from all across the plastics value chain that have each contributed somewhere between $5 to $50 million over the next 5 years, all with the mission of ending plastic waste around the world. And they can't do it alone, and this is why they are working with us at Plug and Play to find these new and innovative startups and work with them and deploy capital or partner with them around the world to create these initiatives that can help end plastic waste in these different parts of the world and ultimately get us to a truly circular economy. So for this program, we've been focused on waste collection, waste sorting, processing of plastic waste, the end use markets that this plastic waste can go into, financial incentives for bringing plastic waste back, river pollution prevention, so stopping plastic waste from entering into the river where ultimately will end up in our oceans, waste material exchange, which is that marketplace that connects waste collectors and the people who want to purchase that waste material and turn it into something of value good. And lastly, design of better plastics that makes it easier to recycle. So the way that this program has worked is, again, Plug and Play has really an army of ventures associates and analysts all around the world that are actively sourcing and bringing in new and exciting startups. We bring in about 15,000 startups per year, and we actually have over 45,000 startups currently in our ecosystem today. And we not only find the early stage ones, but we are actually stage agnostic. So we work with very early startups, but also very late stage startups and everything in between. So how this process has worked over the last year and a half is Plug and Play has been running global accelerator programs with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. So what we've done is we've taken a look at our focus areas and we brought in startups either through a call for application or through Plug and Play's own active sourcing efforts. We narrowed down those startups to an elite list of 50 companies per region, and we pass them along to our panel members. And the panel members are actually the ones that vote on the startups to go from the top 50 to the top 20. And then during our selection day, where the startups actually present verbally to these panel members, from a top 20 to a top 10 or 12. For this program and this batch, we've actually accepted 12 startups. In prior ones, we've accepted 10 or 11 startups. So first off, I'd love to thank our panel members for being part of this 90-day program with us. We could not have done it without them. So a big shout out to the panel members that are working with us from the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, Suez, Shell, Total, LyondellBasell, Pregis, Nova Chemical, and Exxon. Again, we could not have done it without you, and we look forward to continuing our work with you. Even though the program has ended, we still are going to be working with you to really help drive innovation and help reach that goal of ending plastic waste around the world. So last year, we ran 3 accelerator programs with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and these were regional programs. So Silicon Valley for North America, Paris for Europe, and Singapore for Southeast Asia. And some of those initial results have been absolutely incredible. So we accelerated 32 startups last year, and that has led to at least 75 commercial pilots and POCs, a dozen of which have actually already moved on to full commercial rollout. And you can read about some of those case studies on our website and hear and see how those startups have been able to work with different organizations and the impact that those projects have had. And last off, we've helped those startups actually raise over $35 million in capital. And that number is still growing, and we can't wait to see where that number hits by the end of this year. And right now, we've actually accepted 23 startups that are currently being accelerated, 12 in North America and 11 in Paris. And we look forward to accepting another 40 this year. And, although this, but one last thing, of that 23, the 12 from the North America program, this is actually their graduation. So we will finish accelerating them, but we will still be working with them and helping them connect with different corporations and investors all around the world, all with that mission of driving impact and ending plastic waste. So these are just some of the very notable examples and case studies that have come out of the programs from last year. So, Literati working with the Alliance and the All Together Global Cleanup Campaign, Dow working with amazing startups such as Continuous Materials, InPower, Biofusion, and ArcLight on recycling hard to recycle plastic waste. A partnership between OceanWorks and Avient for taking ocean-bound plastic waste and turning it into home goods. A great partnership between Resynergy and BASF for advancing their chemical recycling process, and some other very notable ones that we'll be talking about a little bit later today. And our journey with the Alliance doesn't really end there, and we're really only just getting started. So as I mentioned, this is the culmination of the last 3 months of work in the North America program. We're right now halfway through our Paris program, and we'll be kicking off our Shanghai program in just about a week, followed by Sao Paulo, Singapore, and Johannesburg. So we've not only doubled down our efforts with the Alliance for doing around 2 of these accelerator programs, but we've also expanded into new locations so we can find these amazing startups in other regions, accelerate them in their own region, and then help them cross-pollinate into new geographies and continue to grow and scale their impact globally. And again, we're not even stopping there. So in addition to the work we've been doing in plastics, we're now launching programs in carbon neutrality and in water resilience. And for our carbon neutrality program, we've already been working with a few amazing partners around green manufacturing and textiles, upcycling of waste material, carbon neutral fleets, carbon emissions to value, zero waste, sustainable and ethical supply chain, renewable fuels, carbon footprint and traceability, green hydrogen production, and innovative carbon capture utilization and storage methods. And if you'd like to get involved or learn more about this exciting program that we're launching all around the world, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to tell you all about it and see how we can work together and help your organization reach its carbon neutrality goals. And lastly, not only are we running programs and doing accelerator programs or accelerating these startups, but we're also investing into them. So in the last year and a half, Plug and Play Sustainability has invested in 17 amazing startups, a few of which are currently still in stealth mode, and we're on track to invest in about another 25 startups in 2021 alone. And we'll be sharing some exciting updates with you as we make those investments public so that you get to meet those amazing startups as well and hear about their solutions and possibly work with them and collaborate with them. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm going to pass it off to your MC for today's event, Danae Roberts, who's an Ventures Associate with us, who's been doing amazing work working with these startups, finding them and investing in them alongside of some of the corporations and VCs we work with. Take it away, Danae.
Thanks so much, Matt. My name is Danae. I'm a Ventures Associate working in new materials, packaging, and sustainability. During this presentation, you'll be hearing a mix of startup pitches and fireside chats between our Batch 2 startups and Alliance panel members. We'll now begin our startup presentations. Let's welcome Jack from Intermix Performance Materials. Intermix creates additives that enable the efficient and cost-effective recycling of post-consumer mixed plastic waste. Take it away, Jack.
Hi, my name is Jack Lester, a co-founder of Intermix Performance Materials. Together with Cornell professor Jeff Coates, we founded Intermix to commercialize and scale technologies that he and his colleagues created at the Coates Lab at Cornell University. Since our founding in early 2021, we've built a dedicated team of experienced scientists and business professionals. Polyethylene and polypropylene account for more than 2/3 of the 400 million tons of plastic produced around the world annually. They're really important and valuable. They protect and preserve our food. They're durable and they're affordable. Polyethylene and polypropylene also create challenges. Because of their chemical makeup, they're immiscible. Like oil and water, they do not blend well together. Their mixture results in poor performance properties, and they're very difficult and expensive to sort. This makes it very difficult to capture the value from mixed plastic waste. As a result, more than 90% of plastic is either incinerated, landfilled, or lost in the environment, and only 2% is upcycled into products of equal or greater value. Our disruptive technology offers two significant opportunities to create substantial value in combining or compatibilizing polyethylene and polypropylene. The first is to introduce our additive into the plastic waste recycling stream. Doing so will dramatically increase the supply of suitable PCRs, increase yields, reduce processing costs, and result in resins that can be reused and upcycled. The second opportunity is to create new materials, combining polyethylene and polypropylene in new ways, combining their unique performance characteristics. By creating, in effect, alloys that combine the impact resistance of polyethylene and the rigidity of polypropylene, we can meet the unique requirements of customers, including lightweighting their products. As noted earlier, most mixed plastic waste has little to no value because of the high sorting costs and the poor resultant quality of the resins. You can see in the video below that a mix of 70% polyethylene, 30% polypropylene results in a plastic with really poor properties. This next image shows the phase separation that occurs at the molecular level between polyethylene and polypropylene. And now our compatibilizer, in effect, stitching together the polyethylene and the polypropylene, compatibilizing it. The results demonstrated in this slide and the video below are when we have 1% of our additive to a 70-30 mix of polyethylene and polypropylene. The result is a polymer with really enhanced performance characteristics. Our value proposition is benefiting from strong tailwinds. Governments around the world are seeking to curb plastic use and in some cases production. Corporations are increasing their sustainability efforts and their commitments to it, and consumers are willing to do their part and pay for it. Both the plastic recycling business and the specialty plastic industry are large and growing rapidly, capturing just 5% of the U.S. plastic recycling industry could generate market revenue of $180 million in just the short term. As the U.S. moves closer to recycling rates seen in Europe, that potential exceeds $1 billion a year. Similarly, on specialty plastics, capturing just a small percentage, 1% of that industry would generate nearly $500 million in revenue in the very short term, and far in excess of that over the longer term. Our team has truly benefited from the plug-and-play experience. With that, Jeff and I want to thank you for your attention and your willingness to learn more about Intermix. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Next, we have our first of 4 fireside chats. During this discussion, you will hear about how our Batch 2 startup, Better Bin, developed a relationship with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste member, Nova Chemicals. Please welcome Michelle and Jennifer.
So I'm Jen Wolfsmith from Nova Chemicals. Really excited to be here to share the story so far between Nova and Better Bin. So just by way of a little bit of introduction of myself, Jen Wolfsmith, I currently serve as the Director of Finance Transformation with Nova Chemicals. I have been lucky enough to work with Nova for really the entirety of my career for 20 years now, through a variety of different roles with Nova. And Nova's really excited to be participating in this plug and play Silicon Valley batch program. You know, as a founding member of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, this is core to us. And so we are really excited to participate, to work with all of the startups, including Better Bin. You know, we've been working with Michelle and Better Bin for about 3 months now, the better part of 3 months. And it's really exciting just to see the amount of innovation that's going on through the entire value chain, and how many people are coming together to solve this problem that we all share. So with that, I'll maybe pass it over to you, Michelle, and just let you do an introduction.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks. Thank you, Jen. So again, my name is Michelle Gage. I'm the founder and CEO of Wisconsin-based startup Better Bin. And at Better Bin, we are in the business of data. And we use that data to help brands sell more products and consumers properly manage their product packaging waste. So our magic really lies in our proprietary machine learning tech. We have the ability to look at a brand specific product, determine its packaging materials, inner and outer, cross-reference that information with what's accepted in local recycling programs, and then we spit out to consumers local recycling instructions for brand specific products. Our tech and this data powers multiple B2C, B2B, B2B2C digital products. Consumers use our app to earn rewards for properly recycling packaging in their local program. And for brands and CPG e-commerce sites, we're the only digital platform that knows the very moment a consumer is finished with a product, as well as the only data source that allows consumers to filter purchasing options based on packaging material choice. So think paper, plastic-free, aluminum, glass. We sell that data as a service subscription to brands who want to retarget consumers by getting involved in our rewards program, and then to e-commerce platforms who want to give their consumer options to filter purchasing choices based on packaging material types, or maybe they just want to educate about local recycling instructions right from their own platforms. We've been really excited to get involved in the plug and play sustainability Silicon Valley batch. It's been a fantastic opportunity to tell our story and learn from experts like Jen and Nova. We just started our seed stage raise with a 750K raise that we're looking for, and we're actively seeking out brands and other strategic partners who want to get involved in our rewards program. So we've been able to make a lot of great connections through the plug and play platform.
That's awesome. So maybe Michelle, you know what I'll ask, maybe just kick off and give from your perspective how our collaboration started.
Yeah, that's perfect. So I met Jen through one of the reverse pitch sessions, and then through a really fun virtual speed and networking event, virtual obviously because of COVID. And I realized right away that as an early stage startup with a really small team, we could really benefit from some technical learning regarding packaging resins and really detailed differences in flexible packaging types. And so we basically needed to learn more about the science behind packaging, and also just what those conversations are like between a resin manufacturer, a packaging manufacturer, designer, and those CPG brands who are using the packaging. And Jen was able to connect us with a senior packaging engineer at Nova, and we ended up having a fantastic discussion. I think not only did we dig into some technical education around flexible packaging resins, but we just got a whole new perspective on how a resin chemical manufacturer like Nova thinks about what they're building in their products and how they're helping their customers. And it was just a lot different from what we had expected, much for the better, for sure.
Yeah, that's, I think along our journey so far, there's been a bit of pleasant surprising on both sides because, to be honest with you, when we started interacting, I was surprised that you were looking to get in touch with, with some of the technical expertise around the packaging design. And I don't know why I was surprised, but I was, to be honest with you. But from our very first interactions, I think the thing that has stood out for me about you, Michelle, and Better Bin is your passion and your commitment for getting it right. And that includes getting the science and the data right on the packaging material. So I think what's really cool about Better Bin and what you've been able to build is this platform that takes very detailed data, like you said, on what the capabilities are for individual mechanical recycling facilities, and then you marry it with this very detailed data that we have around, the science and the recyclability of different packaging materials, and then you're able to deliver that to a consumer in a way that's very digestible and very relevant to them. And I think, for me, that is no small feat. But it's really exciting because we know, I mean, I'm an accountant by trade, and I would have never imagined the complexity in packaging choice. But it is extremely complex in choosing some of these materials. And I know that my colleagues at Nova really do work closely with all members of the value chain, from film manufacturers, converters, through to the CPG brands, as you mentioned. And we really do always look to maximize recyclability, but that at the same time realizing that we have to preserve the technical properties of this packaging material to, at the end of the day, protect the products that these brands really trust us with. And one of the things that I think stands out about Nova for me is we do have a commitment. Our purpose is to shape a better world. And we really do understand that at the core of that, everything we do has to be rooted in sustainability. And so that was actually a perspective that we were really excited to share with you, Michelle, and your team.
Yeah, I think that after we had that call with the packaging engineer, I think you and I both connected around this fact that it's really hard as consumers to make good decisions about the products we're buying, whether we're thinking about the packaging or something else about the product. The scientific complexities around packaging choices and environmental impacts are highly varied. There's nothing black and white about it. It's so gray. So I know that next step after we talked to the engineer was to connect with one of your experts in life cycle assessments. So LCA is just an amazing tool and probably the best for an organization like yours and brands to think about what type of packaging they're choosing for their products. And again, we didn't have an LCA expert on our team. So we were able to have that call with the Nova Chemicals, one of the Nova Chemicals LCA experts, just to have them walk through the tool. And so she did walk us through that tool. And I think what was so great for us was originally we just had this mindset that something is either good or bad. When we came away with this new mindset that the real way to educate consumers is to educate them about the options. Like, okay, we've done an LCA analysis, here's what we've learned. And then letting that consumer make a decision based on that LCA analysis of, if they think it's a good decision for them based on where they live or based on their just consumption choices or options or recycling programs that they have in their local community, letting them make that decision for themselves. And so I think we were so excited to just get that new way of thinking. It's just a much different strategy than we originally thought in terms of saying, this is a good packaging option or this is a bad one, because you just can't, that's just not how it works. And so we're really excited to just build that sort of educational piece and options into our platform to help educate consumers.
Yeah, and I think it's funny when I look back at a lot of our conversations, I think we actually connected as moms mostly in this area. You know, we've had a lot of good conversations around, even with our respective areas of expertise and our backgrounds, you know, standing in the grocery store in the aisle, trying to decide what we're going to buy to put in our, you know, to put in our kids' lunch boxes is still a daunting task. And, you know, for me personally, I'm always trying to balance, you know, is it low added sugar? Is there actual nutritional content in that food? Does it come in a sustainable package? And really, at the end of the day, trying to figure out, will my kid actually eat that? Will my son actually eat that if I send it with him to school, or will it just end up in the garbage bin in the cafeteria? Because knowing how many careful decisions are made all along the way, you know, right from a resin manufacturer like Nova through the entire value chain, you know, and culminating in as me as a consumer trying to decide what to buy. If my son just dumps that product right in the garbage bin, then all of that is for nothing. And, you know, not to mention all of the carbon emissions that went into growing that food and processing it and shipping it to us. And so I think, you know, some of those conversations that we had around even just how difficult it is these days to choose the best, you know, piece of food to put in your child's lunchbox is really indicative of the complexities we face around the entire circular economy. And some of the things we have to think through when we are designing and standing up the circular economy, because like you said, there is no universally good or universally bad choice to get us there. You know, we do have a tendency to focus on the end of life of some of these packaging materials. And, you know, that is with very good reason, because we absolutely have to get plastic out of the environment and into the economy. But I think what's really great about Better Bin is your desire to get this factual information out into the hands of consumers so that we can all be making the most informed and most diligent choices that we can for ourselves and our circumstances.
Yeah, and I just think, you know, when we first had some of these virtual networking sessions, I don't think you or I probably had any idea how, you know, a resin manufacturer, a chemical company could collaborate with us. We're on the education and at the end of things, we're at the very opposite ends of CPG packaging waste, you know, being sort of a manufacturer, one end, educator at the other. And I think what's been just so cool about this plug and play experience is we still came together and realized that there aren't a lot of opportunities for, you know, innovators at the early stage that we are as Better Bin to evolve our product for the better with the support of longtime players in the packaging space. And then vice versa for players like Nova to realize that with the advent of new technologies, the way that consumers are going to think and learn about packaging is going to evolve. And you need to be at the forefront of that as you help your customers, you know, make decisions about the packaging that they use in their products. I think, you know, beyond our app platforms, you know, this ability for us to allow any e-commerce site or app out there to use our data to allow customers to filter purchasing options based on their packaging material of choice. Maybe they want plastic free, maybe they want glass, aluminum, they only want a monopolymer product. You know, Nova wouldn't know that those options are out there if we wouldn't be talking, if we're not talking together. And I think through a lot of our conversations, we've come to just realize that having stakeholders of this entire spectrum of the value chain in terms of making changes for the better, whatever those changes are, in terms of making sure, you know, plastic packaging is not in the environment, increasing the recyclability. I just, you know, our ultimately our missions really aligned, I think, which was just exciting, because I don't think either of us really thought that might happen from the beginning.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And I think that's one of the really cool and unique things about the Accelerator program is this opportunity to bring, you know, seemingly unconnected participants in the value chain together for this type of collaboration, and giving each other line of sight into some of the challenges that we each face in our, you know, areas of business, so that collectively we can get alignment on the best way to solve some of these shared problems. You know, we said that the circular economy is very complex, and the solution is going to be very complex as well. But bringing together companies like Nova and Better Bin just really helps us have that dialogue so that we can accelerate toward that circularity and strengthen the system as a whole, I think, which in turn, you know, to be honest, will strengthen each of our businesses towards our strategic goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so from here, I know the plug and play program, you know, it starts out really fast. You know, you and I have been talking over the course of 3 months. And then, you know, for us startups, the program sort of ends, but for, you know, it really just continues with partners with like Nova and other stakeholders in the Alliance on Plastic Waste. And so I think we've talked a little about just what's going to happen in the future. And I think we both kind of just settled on this idea that, you know, we want to have this opportunity to really understand how we can be talking to consumers about packaging. And just that ability for you and your brands and your customers to speak about it in the same way that we would is just so important. So, so yeah, a lot about storytelling. And then I think I might even have some other ideas that we haven't even talked about that we'll be in touch about.
That's awesome. Well, I know, I mean, for me personally, I've enjoyed our collaboration so much. I've gotten so much out of it. And I really look forward to the continued collaboration between, you know, not only Nova and Better Bin, but, you know, yourself and myself. There's so many learnings that I've taken away from this that won't only help me in my professional capacity, but really will inform me in my personal life too. So thank you for that. And I really look forward to continuing.
Yeah. Me as well. Thanks. All right.
Thank you, Jen and Michelle. Next, we have Philip, founder and CEO of Allins. The Allins solution is a highly scalable, advertising-funded platform designed to collect and sort recycled plastic and aluminum in locations with high pedestrian traffic.
My name is Philip Stanger, and I'm the CEO of Allins. Every year, 100 billion plastic containers are thrown away and never recycled. And the problem isn't going away. Only 14% of plastic production is currently recycled. Annually, recycling rates have held flat for the past decade and even fell by a percentage point in 2019. At current rates, by 2050, there will be more plastic in the oceans than fish. Consumers are demanding better. They will support brands or reject them, based on whether and how they take action on the challenges facing humanity. In fact, sustainability marketed products grew over 7 times faster than conventionally marketed ones, and almost 4% faster than the CPG market in total. So consumers are looking for bold leadership from brands, and brands are listening. They're pledging large increases in the use of recycled PET instead of virgin plastic in the manufacture of their plastic packaging. So what's the problem? As the president of NAPCOR recently said, you can say you want 25% recycled PET all you want, but if you don't have the raw material, you're not going to get there. In fact, the Recycling Partnership estimates that there is £1 billion less supply than demand. Our goal with Allins is to massively increase the supply of recycled plastic containers for processing into recycled PET. To do this, we're using technology to enable a new business model for recycling that provides consumers with convenience, rewards, and a channel for action. It enables brands to align their sustainability message with the verifiable action of recycling. The halo effect raises consumer perceptions of participating brands. Our container cubes have proven to increase traffic and spending at participating locations. Also, in some jurisdictions, it relieves these hosts from legal recycling obligations. Most importantly, each container cube is recycling over 1.5 metric tons of pure, uncontaminated PE feedstock per year, raw material that is economically and easily recycled. The Allins experience is made up of 3 parts. The container cube that takes consumer deposits. It identifies them, it crushes, it sorts, and alerts the gig servicer when it's re-emptied. The consumer app that allows consumers to collect earnings, to cash out, and shows their impact. And finally, the gig servicer app that allows gig services to empty the machine, to deliver the material to processors, and to cash out their earnings. So where are we? We're currently building our network of container cubes and have agreements for over 250 sites with another 7,200 locations in the pipeline. We have as our partners PepsiCo and Safeway. Each container cube is collecting over 150 kilograms of PET per month, and user growth month over month is 2x.
I first saw the Oleans machine, especially that bright LED, it really calls your attention. And so it really attracts the customer to look at it, especially if you think about it in a store setting, and it provides an easy and efficient way for our customers to now have another service where they can recycle their cans and other items.
The residents will respond because it's so convenient. That's one of the things that is an advantage of having Oleans here in Safeway. Well, why don't we have one in every supermarket?
The Oleans team is made up of technology and advertising veterans. We're looking for capital to scale, site partnerships and advertising partnerships. We have a differentiated and unique recycling business model, some compelling revenue diversity and unit economics, a proven and popular recycling collections model, and a market opportunity that's capitalizing on transformational industry megatrends. We're ready to take it on with our experienced management team and hope you'd like to work with us. Please contact me, Philip Stanger, at the contact information that you see on the screen.
Thank you, Philip. In addition to the fireside chats and startup pitches, we also wanted to make some exciting announcements about previous batch startups and Plug and Play. The first one is that not only is Plug and Play accelerating startups that are helping end plastic waste, but we are also investing in them. This includes companies like Grey Parrot, Circulor, Bifusion, and Melazyme. In addition to this, we also have been aggressively investing in startups working on carbon neutrality. This includes our investments into companies such as Helios, Journey Foods, Silvera, Minimum, and Heirloom. Please let us know if you would be interested in learning more about any of these companies. I would now like to welcome Ryan Smith, founder and CEO of Recyclops, and a Batch 2 startup, and Clint Smith, a Senior Director of Global Sustainability at Pridges, a Batch 2 Alliance to End Plastic Waste panel member.
Great to see you here, and good to be a part of the Spring Summit. Clint Smith from Pridges Corporation, and really thrilled to participate with Plug and Play, and as part of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste Sustainability Accelerator with Plug and Play. From a Pridges perspective, there's a couple of things that that we're really looking to coming into this, really looking to get out of. Being a protective packaging company and predominantly focused on inside of the box protective materials through where our materials are used throughout the e-commerce space, industrial, automotive, just a lot of different markets and sectors. The challenges that we see from the market and from our customers revolve around circularity and getting materials back. A big part of Pridges joining the Alliance to End Plastic Waste is to be a contributor and to play our part and to do our part in the circle here of getting materials that we put onto the marketplace collected and back, and just excited to be able to participate in the Accelerator program and find a great company like Recyclops to partner with and work towards getting some of these programs established where we're able to get our materials back and give them new life, true fully circularity. So enjoy being here today and speaking with you, Ryan, and looking forward to working much more together in the future.
Yeah, I'm glad we can be here as well. And I also am really excited about what the future holds between Recyclops and Pridges, and Plug and Play has been awesome to help in helping facilitate that and make it easy. So just a little bit about Recyclops and kind of what we do. We, obviously you, Clint, know, but for anyone else watching, we specialize in sustainability, accessibility, and logistics. So, a lot of times what that looks like is recycling and closing the loop, and you have materials that are either need to be reused or need to be recycled, and there's just dots that need to be connected. You have material here, and in order for it to be circular, it needs to be here, and there's someone that needs to connect those dots, and that's Recyclops. That's what we do. So we have a independent contractor driver force that facilitates a lot of that and enables us to bring recycling programs to places that don't have them. But then we also, have logistics that go, beyond just kind of an Uber style driver force. So that's us.
Awesome. Yeah. And it's been fantastic getting to know and understand your business, and make the connections on where we're able to work together to make an impact. I loved how you described Recyclops as the environmental logistics company, and it makes a ton of sense, because from our perspective, one of the areas that we struggle with and finding help to close that loop is in e-commerce specifically, a lot of times it's that last mile that's talked about, of getting those goods or those products delivered from the retailer, from the distribution center to the household. Well, and closing that loop, we're looking more at that first mile, if you will, and how do we get those materials back from the household or from the distribution center, cost effectively, efficiently, through the right channels, to be able to get them back and recycled, repelletized, reused, whatever that might be, depending on the customer. And so finding your team and your company, Ryan, has been your early relationship, but super excited about where this relationship and working together can go to make, like I said earlier, to make an impact, and helping us get materials recovered and back into products that we can make, giving it full circularity and full life multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting, the kind of this dilemma where it's you as a company, you guys want to be circular, and that's a desire of yours, but to make that happen, you're selling to someone who's then selling to a consumer, and connecting those dots and getting it back from the consumer all the way back to you, and through a processor, to pelletize and get it back to you, like that's there's a lot of dots to connect there, and it's a challenge, and there needs to be a lot of cooperation, between the beginning and the end to make it happen. And you see a lot of companies that talk about closing the loop, it's this buzzword, but to actually pull it off, which I think we're well on our way to pull that off together, is pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting to say, hey, no, you're selling, a product to a retailer, that retailer is selling a product to a consumer, and then Recyclops is getting it from there and getting it back to you. And that I think there's a lot of credit that goes to Pregis and their desires to make that happen. And we're thrilled that we can be a piece in the puzzle, but it's fun, and it's pretty revolutionary. I mean, there's a lot of companies talking about it, but no one's really doing it. No one's really closing the loop and following something along the supply chain far enough to get it back. And that's hard. And there are companies, there's mail-back programs, and there's different things, but it's to truly then use it back in your own product, I think makes this pretty special.
Yeah, that's one of the things that it's been a challenge for us, and it's a big reason why we joined the Alliance, and even a bigger reason why we wanted to participate with Plug and Play, to be able to help kind of bridge that gap, and find companies like Recyclops that, we know we can't do it on our own. A lot of companies have looked at it, and a lot of companies have tried. We've looked at it and tried, and it's very apparent, that we all need to work together. And so, through collaborations like the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and given their member organizations the accessibility and the ability to work with, great accelerator programs like Plug and Play, we're a perfect example, I think, of just bringing two organizations together who, likely at some point in time we would have found each other. When that would have been, hard to tell, but it's really accelerated the ability for us to come together, have these structured and strategic conversations of how can we make an impact. And I think, one of the programs that we're piloting with you right now, obviously, is proof of that, that acceleration that Plug and Play was able to provide, and hopefully where we're getting, closer to that true circularity on some specific items. It's one that we're really excited about. I know the customer, the end user, and your customer too as well, is super excited about. But the magic there is being able to cost effectively get that material to us, which we're in the final stages of that, and just thrilled to be able to take those next steps.
Yeah, well, it's fun because it's a win for everyone. I mean, your customer, our customer is the same customer. We're serving the same people, and you're thrilled about this. Of course, we're thrilled about this. Our joint customer is thrilled about this. Like, everyone wins, and the end user, the person who, the household who has this waste that is would more likely than not end up in a landfill otherwise, they're thrilled. And so it's just this win across the board, and it just comes from collaboration. And it was fun. We had some great conversations kind of initially, and I think that things would have kept plugging along, and life's busy, and we would have eventually got there. But it was fun to go to these networking events and find each other in a room and kind of ignore everyone else and just hash it out.
Room.
That's right. That's exactly right. Virtual room. I'm imagining these little tables that I'm like looking for headshots.
No, it's a great platform.
No, it's fun.
It's taken that program from concept, in the conversations from concept to pilot, and really looking at what the future holds with the scale of the impact, right? I mean, regional pilots, you've already done that in collecting these materials. Proof there it can be done. Getting those materials collected on a national level is next, and then that material all sorted and sent to the people we need it sent to be processed so we can get it as pellet is kind of that next stage 2 and 3. And this is one customer we're talking about. I mean,
yeah.
From my perspective, it doesn't stop there. It's who else can we go to with this type of a program, and continue to build upon it, because like you said, it's a win for everybody involved that we're dealing with. And it's a bigger one if we can continue to build scale across the market segment for these type of products.
Well, one of the things that I think is so cool and exciting about this is that this material that we're taking, this penguin pack, this silver liner, insulated liner that we're working on right now. It's easier for you to recycle that and get that back into your system than it is for anyone else, because you know exactly what it is. And so when it comes to, hey, repelletizing that, getting that, finding a partner who can do that, where like you can trust the integrity of this, and it's just easier. You can turn it into a higher quality product than someone else could, because it's yours already. And that's one of these pieces to circularity that I think, kind of gets overlooked, is that it makes more sense. It's better. Like, you're getting post-consumer recycled material that is high quality, because it's exactly what you need, because it's going into the exact same thing. And that is like, that's cool. Like, that's game changing.
Yeah, I forgot we're talking about this, and we know exactly what it is, but you're right. It's the penguin pack, and rebranding it as Thermocycle Flex, coming out here shortly. But it's that insulated material for a lot of your meal kit and food shipments and deliveries that show up at your household. That material being reformulated from our end, going on a little over 14 months ago to enable this, right? It traditionally was a multi-material structure that's been reformulated to an all polyethylene structure, still provide the same performance characteristics, but now, designed for that circularity that we're talking about here. And, it starts with that design of the material so that it can be recycled. But then, step one, right? And obviously a lot of steps along the way to closing the loop. And just, again, you're right. It's unique because we know exactly what the material is. We've used the material and be able to get it back and get it reincorporated into products that then go right back to that same market segment and even to that same customer. Allows them to be able to tell that story to their consumers and their customers, and that full circularity. That's what people want to see. And so just excited that we're able to come together through the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, through Plug and Play, and through our common customer here, to be able to help speed up and create this program and this platform that we're so excited about.
Yeah, no, it's thrilling. Well, one of the things for me, just to kind of wrap up, is that, looking at my business, my traditional business, we operate, there's cities, we're all about accessibility, and our main focus historically has been, cities that don't have programs. We'll go in, we'll launch a recycling program, we'll use a local independent contractor driver network to do that. And when you just look at that, you think, how do Pregis and Recyclops fit? And they don't. But I think the big takeaway is that you have these conversations and you think outside the box, and that's how the magic happens. That's how we close the loop. That's how sustainability happens, and that's how we end plastic waste, is by thinking outside the box and talking to each other. Because if we didn't have these conversations, we never would have gotten here on our own. Recyclops never would have gotten there. And yeah, it's fun to have a place where we can facilitate these conversations, and an organization that can kind of help us do that.
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic early part of our journey together. Looking forward to continuing the partnership, Ryan. We've got, obviously we're talking about one market segment, but sky's the limit here. There's a lot of items that need to be collected, and a lot of companies, like you mentioned, that are looking to get those materials back. So, from our perspective, wishing you all the best in continuing to provide those critical services of those first mile logistics, and helping cost effectively get materials collected and back so the materials can get back into the system and recycled and given new life multiple times over, and do it in its scale.
Awesome. Excellent.
Thank you, Ryan and Clint. For our next exciting update, we're very proud to announce our portfolio company, Circulor, has raised $14 million for their Series A. Circulor is a blockchain traceability startup out of the UK that is working on tracking materials through the value chain, such as cobalt, palm oil, and plastic waste. Next up, I would like to welcome Repurpose. As the world's first plastic credit platform, they make climate action simple for companies of all sizes by removing and recycling as much ocean-bound plastic waste as they use in their packaging and operations. Let's welcome Aditya from Repurpose.
Good morning. My name is Aditya Saroya. I'm one of the co-founders and Chief Impact Officer at Repurpose Global, the world's first plastic credit platform. The problem is clear. Our world is simply not dedicating enough money to scale up solutions to our plastic waste crisis that actually work. And in response, we created Repurpose Global, the world's first plastic credit platform. It's simple. One plastic credit is the equivalent of 1 additional kilogram of plastic waste eliminated from the environment. The beauty of this pioneering financial instrument is that it accelerates all kinds of solutions, ranging from marine plastic recovery to the expansion of waste management infrastructure, all the way to scaling up early stage innovations that reduce or avoid plastic altogether. Plastic waste is the #1 environmental concern on consumers' minds worldwide, sending a clear signal to businesses that they need to do something about their plastic waste. Unfortunately, the alternatives that exist today are either way too expensive, worse for the environment, or simply don't work. And so we created the Plastic Neutral certification for CPG brands, designed as a simple, affordable, and accessible solution to take responsibility for their plastic footprint by financing innovators through our plastic credit platform. Here's how it works. Let's take My Vegan as an example. We first calculated their plastic footprint, say it's about 400,000 kilograms. Second, at about 50 cents per kilogram, my vegan pays us $200,000, and we use that funding at one of our plastic credit projects on the ground, in this case, Goa in coastal India, to remove an additional 400,000 kilograms of ocean-bound plastic waste and get it recycled on behalf of my vegan. And third, we certify the brand as plastic neutral, meaning that they have now wiped out as much additional plastic waste from the environment as their packaging uses. We're so grateful that the Repurpose Global Impact family is growing by the day, ranging from small mom and pop stores to giants like Credit Suisse, Bentley, and Colgate. Since we joined the Plug and Play program alone, we've added over 25 businesses to the platform, bringing our total reach to 125 purposeful brands across the world. And so how does this all work on the ground? We first identify, evaluate, and onboard local entrepreneurs solving our plastic waste crisis. Then we design context-appropriate solutions and finance them using plastic credits. We also verify that this entire process adheres to our global environmental and socioeconomic standards. Repurpose Global is building one of the world's largest platforms of circular economy innovators, stretching across 3 continents. Since March alone, we've added 5 new projects to our platform and are proud to be removing over 4 million kilograms of plastic waste every year and counting. One such project, in collaboration with the GIZ's Prevent Waste Alliance and a global consortium of leaders in the plastic credit ecosystem, just kicked off in May across rural villages in Kerala and India. Through this first-of-its-kind pilot, we are demonstrating the holistic impact that plastic credits can enable by establishing entirely new supply chains for ethical and efficient waste management, particularly in rural regions where such infrastructure simply does not exist. Since the start of this program, the plastic credit market has come to life, and Repurpose Global has been on the forefront of developing the foundational building blocks of the global plastic credit ecosystem. Earlier this year, we launched the plastic waste collection methodology, which we directly developed in collaboration with Vera. By authoring this methodology, Repurpose Global is uniquely positioned to ensure that all our projects are developed in line with these stringent requirements towards maximizing the environmental impact of plastic credits. Over the last few months, we've been tirelessly developing the world's first plastic neutral standards, launching in June 2021. These standards have been developed through a multi-stakeholder approach in consultation with over 100 experts in the circular economy space. They lay the foundation for the certifications awarded by Repurpose and provide an actionable set of principles and guidelines for businesses to combat our plastic waste crisis. Plugging an important gap in the current plastic credit market, Repurpose Global is developing the Plastic Credit Impact Equivalency Framework in collaboration with a network of technical experts. We are creating a single common framework to assess the true plastic impact across environmental, economic, and social indicators of both plastic waste generation and mitigation efforts, akin to the concept of global warming potential from carbon credits. This framework will allow truly impactful projects to amplify their monetization potential by applying the concepts of eco-modulation to plastic credit financing. We're also thrilled about the many exciting opportunities of adding value to AEPW members through this program, from providing additional financing to existing waste management infrastructure through credits, or to enabling polymer manufacturers to offer your customers the option to take their packaging plastic neutral. The partnership opportunities are truly limitless. Through the mentorship of this program, we are developing a holistic proposal in response to the Alliance's recent RFP. Our proposal integrates the setup of efficient plastic waste management systems across rural India, tackling over 10,000 tons of plastic waste recovered annually, with the development of core building blocks to the plastic credit ecosystem to enable self-sustaining waste recycling infrastructure. So we invite you to join us, because together we can reduce waste, revive lives, and restore nature's balance. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Aditya. We'll now be taking a 10-minute break. Please use this time to refill your coffee or stretch your legs. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
How do you track your team's innovation efforts? However that is, we've got an easier way. Let us introduce Playbook. Playbook is Plug and Play's innovation software. It is an exclusive tool only available for our ecosystem's corporate partners. With it, you and your team will be able to browse your curated startups database, create, discover, and rate lists of startups, track your engagement, pilots, and investments, analyze data from the tech ecosystem, organize private sessions with select startups, and so much more. Hundreds of corporations count on Playbook to empower their innovation journey. Get in touch to start using Playbook today.
Welcome back, everyone. We'll now continue with our startup presentations. Scrappo is the world's largest plastic recycling marketplace with more than 40,000 registered business from over 140 countries. Let's welcome Rashad, CEO of Scrappo.
Hi there, I'm Rashad, CEO and founder of Scrappo, the world's largest plastic recycling marketplace. We have 55,000 business users in 150 countries. We operate in $40 billion worth market, and our mission is to preserve the environment by diverting plastic from landfills and the oceans back to the manufacturing supply chains. We face a number of industry problems. There is a huge gap between supply and demand. There is a high transaction risk and value chain inefficiency, which obviously have a great impact on the environment. So our solution is an open marketplace that will connect buyers and sellers in a risk-free environment and highly efficient value chain. We released the product 4 years ago. It's available on mobile and web, and it's essentially a global platform to sell and buy any type of plastic from any source in any condition. We've grown to 55,000 users over the past 4 years. We are 90% buyers and 10% sellers, 33% recyclers, 25% manufacturers of plastics. We pivoted with our business model. We started from free marketplace, then to Scrappo Sure service, then subscriptions, and ultimately transaction-based model with service fees. We had our boots on the ground to understand main problems. We've built a solution we call Fulfilled by Scrappo that basically handled everything from managing orders and accepting payments to offering real-time shipping and arranging logistics. And it's purely digital and transparent solution. We've also accumulated data about recycled plastics in over 150 countries. We essentially match supply and demand, and now we're working on end-to-end supply chain solution that will seamlessly connect the entire plastic recycling value chain. We'll then add necessary infrastructure to optimize the supply chain to make recycled resin more competitive. We expect to grow to 500,000 members within the next 2 or 3 years. Our team is myself and Tyler, Nick, and Azar, as well as 6 senior engineers in Eastern Europe. We received awards, Texas Environmental Leadership Award in 2020. We featured in The Economist, Recycling Today, and a number of other industry publications. We help clean the oceans. We divert millions of tons of plastics from landfills and the natural environment. So we're looking for corporate partners, recyclers, brand owners, plastic manufacturers to join the marketplace. We're looking for a capital, venture capital, nonprofit corporate investment to help us connect the entire plastic recycling value chain. We're also looking for strategic investors, industry leaders who can offer investment as well as expertise and access to resources. We want to conclude with our favorite quote: "The greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it." So join us in the business of saving our planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashad. For our next startup announcement, we're delighted to share with you a few exciting announcements about Bifusion, a Silicon Valley Batch 1 startup. Bifusion is a mechanical recycling company that is taking hard to recycle plastic waste and transforming it into sustainable building material. Since graduating from the program, Bifusion has gone on to closing their first seed financial round. They participated in the largest ocean cleanup in history, collecting 103 tons of plastic waste from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a pilot project with Dow and the city of Boise. They are also partnering with the city of Tucson to help them become a zero-waste city. Please feel free to reach out to us if you're interested in learning more about Bifusion or would like to get connected. And now moving on to another fireside chat. This time, we'll hear from current batch 2 startup Net Your Problem and another amazing startup in our ecosystem called Recycle Go. Please take it away, Nicole and Stan.
Thanks, Danae. I'm Nicole from Net Your Problem, and I'm here with Stan from Recycle Go. And before we get into the dirty details, I'd like to just give you a brief overview about what my business is about. So I'm the owner of Net Your Problem, and our mission is to engage a variety of stakeholders and partners to create an economically viable pathway for recycling end-of-life fishing gear, improving waste management, and contributing to the circular economy. We can also reduce energy use and greenhouse gas emissions related to virgin plastic production. And to achieve this mission, we collect old fishing gear from fishermen to recycle it. This is gear that they're not using anymore. And we also try to create demand for the processed plastic that is produced from our collection efforts, and also promote the products that are eventually made from it. And that's where Stan comes in. So Stan, would you like to talk about Recycle Go now?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Nicole, and for inviting me. My name is Stan Chen. I am the CEO and co-founder of Recycle Go. We are building and deploying a blockchain for recycling to track materials as they travel through the recycling supply chain. It is our business philosophy that by attaching the chain of custody, the story, to the materials themselves, we can place a valuation around doing good, the social impact of recycling. So we were excited to collaborate with Nicole, and very happy to be here on this chat today.
Yeah, and I think we have this plug and play accelerator program to thank for introducing us. So we were both part of the selection process of being part of this accelerator, and that's actually what my favorite part of accelerators are. I participated in one last year as well, and it's just a part of business in general to do networking and find out what other people are doing. So when the demo day happened earlier this year, I recorded a 4-minute pitch in my living room and sent it to Sophia, and it just gets broadcast into the virtual world. You're not sure who's listening or who's attending, but a few weeks after that demo day, you reached out to me and asked if we could be working together to improve the traceability of our collection. So could you talk more about how we met and why you thought we might be great to work together?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so as Nicole said, we were part of this accelerator program, and as Nicole did, I also recorded a 4-minute pitch, but when I saw the Net Your Problem pitch, there were quite a few things in alignment in terms of what we were trying to do. So we're working with some fishermen in Ghana in terms of tracking those materials, the fishing nets, as they're being collected and recycled. And I was like, okay, Nicole, let's get together. Let's talk about what Net Your Problems is doing, because obviously fishing nets, ghost nets are a huge problem. What is the latest number? Approximately 1 million tons per year are being discarded into the oceans right now in terms of ghost nets. And let's highlight your story in terms of where you're collecting it, which fishermen are collecting, which indigenous populations are collecting it, where it is, and get those stories basically attach those stories to the nets, to the recycling activity, so that can be highlighted. So I was really excited when I heard Net Your Problem story, and I definitely wanted to reach out and see if there was, a way for RecycleGo to help you tell your story.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because when we engage with fishermen and the public and try to convince them of why they should recycle their nets instead of throw it in the landfill, one of the most engaging parts of that conversation is me showing a bathing suit or showing a phone case that is actually made from recycled fishing gear plastic. There are a bunch of companies around the world that are working with this material. And so even though producing the products is not our core focus, we are collecting the material on the ground. It is important to be able to tell these stories. And right now, as far as we can go is to basically say that, maybe there are some Alaska trawl nets in the newest LifeProof case because they bought their pellets from the same recycler that we send our nets to. But we can't really go any further than that. We can't say, ex-fisherman from this vessel, your net is in this product. So I think that's more of what our partnership will enable us to do. So could you talk a little bit more in detail about how that would work?
Sure. So once in terms of a more granular breakdown, once the nets are collected, they're assigned a digital identity. GPS timestamp is allocated at the point of collection, and a QR code is generated that basically assigns, the digital identity to the material that's being collected. And as the nets are baled, they are essentially they're tracked through the basically the blockchain as each stakeholder takes in the material and process it either in your case into bales, or in terms of a pelletizer basically making it either into polypropylene pellets or nylon pellets, and then back into yarn or fabric or whatever product it is. So all of these steps are tracked and recorded on via a QR code that's assigned, and all of this is tracked on the blockchain. And this, there are powerful stories that are able to be told. One of the examples that we're going to be showcasing hopefully this fall is the UN SDG Impact Awards, where part of the nylon that's being collected is going to be pelletized and turned into the actual physical trophy itself, with a QR code on the trophy itself that you can scan, showing the full chain of custody of where the material came from. So this kind of direct consumer engagement, in not only in terms of the product, but also basically in terms of who the actual stakeholders are, all the way to the collector themselves, is these really powerful stories that can be told. So we do think that especially Nicole, what you are doing is so important in terms of removing this material from the environment, and basically all the stakeholders in your supply chain in terms of just all of that positive environmental impact that they're having. We want to showcase all of these stories and their impact, and hey, amazing job, kudos to you. This is how we engage.
Yeah, I can't wait to see nets that we've collected end up as trophies at an awards ceremony. I think that's going to be so amazing. And so I think while we wrap up here, what we wanted to briefly share with everybody that's listening today is how we think that our partnership provides a model for others. So we are only two parts of the value chain. I'm collection and Stan is the traceability. So we would really encourage others that are in the different parts of the value chain, like the resin production or processing or end use manufacturers, to engage with us so that we can really tell this story from the beginning to the end. And even if you're not involved in our little world here, we would encourage large brands and others to get involved in your whole supply chain, because you benefit from the stories that can be told. You can align your customers' values with what you're offering them. So I think it's getting really important for everybody to know where their materials are coming from, where they're ending up, and showcasing the good things that companies and businesses are doing to make responsible products. So do you have anything else to add, Stan?
No, I think you really summed it up great, Nicole. Fantastic.
Okay, we appreciate everybody listening, and thank you for joining, and enjoy the rest of the talks.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Nicole and Stan. And yes, do get involved. Next, we have Muse. Will Morris is the Senior Product Manager of Muse. Muse is a platform for smart reusable container solutions, enabling the development of city-wide reuse systems.
Hi, everyone. This is Will from the product team at Muse. It's awesome to be here presenting to you guys today, and thank you so much to Plug and Play for their guidance and mentorship over the last few months. Muse is a technology for the distribution and accountability of reusable products within our material economy. We are present in 4 markets: Singapore, Hong Kong, Jakarta, and Toronto. And we are founded to solve the problem of single-use waste within our economy. We see this translating directly into demand and a willingness to pay from consumers, retail operators, and property managers for solutions. Our solution is simple. We create a borrow, use, return environment, which is underpinned by our user-facing app, which allows users to seamlessly check in and check out products from all of our partners. We also have 2 other apps, a vendor and an operations app, which allows all our stakeholders to manage and distribute their products within our ecosystem. At Muse, we strongly believe that this technology is what sets us apart within this space, and we believe we've built the most sophisticated and robust technology for the management and distribution of reusable products. Our first use case is cups and to-go containers, and we use these to train the brain of our technology. But at Muse, we really believe that we will be product and brand agnostic in the future. This means that we can put a QR code and a unique identifier on any product and manage its data and manage the accountability and distribution. The user journey is simple. A user enters one of our partners and scans or has the QR code scanned for them. They take it, they can have it for up to 14 days, and then they can return it to any of our partners in our network. We have 3 distinct revenue streams at Muse. We charge a per revolution fee to our retail partners. We have a customer subscription for things such as cup counters and access to food delivery, which we consider to be more delighter aspects of our product. And we're now seeing a growing demand amongst corporates. So we're now licensing our software to those corporates and landowners, particularly in Asia. Over the course of Plug and Play, we've identified an expansion through hubs as our near-term strategy. We define these hubs as a high-density area of cafes and users in a routine-based environment, such as office blocks. This gives us excellent exposure to corporate partners and governments, and also users in this routine-based environment. And we also have the ability to manage inventory locally and leverage excess capacities of certain infrastructure. For example, washers within hotels when they're not being used for their normal activities. An example of this is Swire, which is the property developer in Hong Kong, where we've worked with partners such as Pret a Manger to develop a robust and really efficient reuse system with return stations and logistics. And we're seeing a real interest from other partners across the region to engage in these types of reuse hubs. We're also working directly with a Plug and Play partner to scope out a system like this in Singapore. Our success to date is that we've diverted 60,000 items from landfill. We have over 100 cafes in our network, and we have 2 functioning hubs, which we see as a real scalable opportunity throughout, particularly the Asian market, to build out these hubs before connecting them all with our reuse platform. I, of course, wouldn't be here without the awesome team. Brian Riley, our founder, who's been at Reuse since its nascent stage, and all these faces that you see have been so important in helping to develop this product and system. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, please do it, will@muse.io, and the other 2 guys here will be able to answer any questions that I can't. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. Unfortunately, one of the batch startups, Replenish, is unable to join us today. We'll still want to make an exciting announcement. Replenish is building technology to help brands close the loop on their products and materials. And we're proud to announce their partnership with Pepsico, a new program called Pepsico Bottle Loop, offering easy and accessible recycling to Pepsico customers to address logistical challenges and reduce plastic packaging waste. Their technology delivers on-demand collection of recyclable materials from participating locations to encourage recycling among consumers through bin access, strategic partnership, and consumer outreach. I would now like to introduce our last fireside chat. This will be between Circ, a Batch 2 startup, and Shell, an Alliance to End Plastic Waste panel member. Please welcome Luc and Laurent.
Thanks, Danae. So Luc, Laurent, thank you so much for this fireside chat today. So I'd like to pass it off to you, Luc, first to introduce us and tell us a little bit more about Circ.
Thanks, Matt. So at Circ, we developed a process to recycle blended textiles, specifically polycotton. And what we do is we take the polyester and we're able to break it down to its monomers, so that can be made into new polyester. And the residual cotton we take and recover as a pretty pure form of cellulose, so that can be made into viscose or lyocell, so again, back into the textile market. The big differentiator here is that ability to deal with the blends. Now, you're thinking, how big a problem is this actually, and why are we in the Alliance to End Plastic Waste? Is because most people don't realize how much plastic is in clothing. You actually use more than double the amount of plastic for textiles as you do for bottles. So it is a huge problem. And in fact, with everyone's commitments to go recycled, there's this huge shortfall in recycled product. So what's happening is it's leading to all these price pressures, and our solution can potentially tap this untapped current source of raw materials and basically valorize it and turn it into something useful to go back into the supply chain.
Very cool. Laurent, I'd love to pass it to you if you'd like to introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, I'm working for Shell Chemicals in our sustainability group and currently focusing more on decarbonization of our sector and our industry. But I've been a part of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste since its inception a couple of years ago. And specifically, it is last few months, I've been part of the Batch 2 panel to look and assess all the new opportunities that could come our way on behalf of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste.
Yeah, and again, thank you so much for being part of this panel. We could not do this batch without you. And Luc, you're one of our startups that's actually part of this batch. So would love to hear a little bit about what you hoped to get out of this program going into it, and maybe some interesting learnings you had along the way.
Thanks. So what we were hoping to get out of it was introductions and access to people like Laurent at Shell. Because what we realized was that, you know, with our scaling efforts, there are a lot of scaling assets and things that facilities that these large companies have that are of course not public and not available to anyone if you aren't actually speaking directly with the companies. The other thing is that it helps you to meet the person in these large organizations who can connect you to the correct people within the organization. So that's why it's not just the access, it's the quality of access that was really important for us. And then I didn't expect that the education series would be as valuable as it turned out to be. You know, we're going for our Series B shortly, and so we're a more mature company than a lot of the other companies in this batch. But what we found was actually that a lot of the education series presentations were really insightful, and I've gained a lot from them actually. So thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. And Laurent, I'd love to pass it over to you. So, you know, you got a chance to review about at least 50 startups on paper that ultimately got narrowed down to a top 12 that have gone through our program. So, you know, could you walk us through what it took to really start talking with Circ, and, you know, how that collaboration has started and what has happened?
Yes, So yeah, there was a lot of company to review, a lot of good ideas, a lot of interesting concept. But when I had the Circ pitch, I realized there's something here that is really interesting and addressing a thorny problem of plastic waste, especially in clothing, a more difficult problem. And so after that, I contacted Luke and say, I'd like to have a follow-up. And I wanted to invite some stakeholders in my organization and some experts as well to better judge what was on the table. And we had a very fruitful meeting, very informative meeting. But in retrospect, at the end, we still felt there was something really interesting in what they achieved, but we couldn't find exactly where we can really collaborate easily and add value to each other. We still thought it was there, but couldn't put a finger on it. Then on the following week, I think the reverse pitch where I was presented to Circ and other people more of the kind of things we were focusing on and some of the skill, the more information that may not be always available in public informations or easily retrievable. And that's where we realized, I think it was the haha moment where, wait a second, Luke realized I need help. They realized we were a leader in the MEG market, the glycol market, out of the polyester, as well as the leader in licensing and developing those technologies. And that's where the moment comes is gel. That's where we can collaborate. We don't need to solve everything else, but that part we could really help because we have probably the best expertise available to do so. And then we realized that's it. That's probably what we need to do. And then we decided to have another meeting with a different set of stakeholders and experts in the organization to focus really what we will do together to improve the process. And so, excuse me, that's what we did. We organized a meeting, and very quickly we confirmed that indeed there's an area in which we can really help accelerate the success of Circ, and that's where we are today. So it takes time sometimes. It takes time, it takes a couple engagement, 3 engagement to find exactly the place where you can really collaborate and add value. And now we're at a point where it's not if, but how we will collaborate.
Matt, if I can jump in there, I would say as well that that reverse pitch was incredibly useful. And doing it earlier, because I believe you had previously done it later in the program, doing it earlier so we could understand exactly what Shell was looking for, but also a deeper understanding of what their core capabilities were. Otherwise, we would have potentially missed that entire opportunity around ethylene glycol.
Yeah, so Laurent, it actually kind of sounds like it was more of it was a gut instinct. You're like, there's something there, we just can't quite figure it out. So maybe for everyone at home, if you have a gut instinct on a potential collaboration, dive a little bit deeper. You never really know what might be there. So, I'd love to kind of hear from the both of you. What are the next steps? You guys have had several conversations. Laurent, you probably brought in an army of people to vet out Circ's technology and to interview Luke and what they're doing. And we'd just love to hear kind of where are the next steps. Where's the future hold for the two of you?
So on my side, I think what was very clear was that enthusiasm from both sides, and it was the idea that there's definitely scope here to collaborate. It's just about finding the best way to work together, because they have a lot of resources and a lot of potential ways that we could collaborate with such a large company.
I definitely, not only a sense of enthusiasm, but almost excitement to some extent in some part of the people in my organization when we talk with Luke. So we now feel confident there will be a way to accelerate Circ's success and enhance the recyclability of polyester, which is definitely a very worthwhile goal that would serve all of us. So we are deepening a conversation to really get to the details, and that's where we're going to the usual exchange of information through confidentiality agreements and all that. We're in the early days of doing that, but we decided it's time to really get deeper and identifying how we can best help and accelerate success in this domain.
Yeah, and so Laurent, I just want to kind of touch on that last point you made. You know, you're in the early days. You guys have been working together through the length of this program. You know, what is kind of the takeaway message for the people at home, especially, you know, a lot of the startups we work with through these programs are hard tech companies. You know, what are some of the lessons that they should kind of learn from your collaborations together in terms of like kind of timeline and expectations for how partnerships and collaborations are formed?
It's a tough question. I think it depends, but I think we alluded to, we know the goal is right. We know it's in the right direction. That's what the Alliance Against Plastic Waste was created for. How can we help? You know, what are core competency to not just support, but enhance that collaboration? And it takes time. You know, sometimes idea being shaped and collaboration are being shaped. Early on, we were focusing more maybe on the end-to-end and other things, and then realized maybe we focus on something that can really, really make a difference. And it takes a little bit of interaction. You use the word faith in gut feel at the beginning. Yeah, it's an informed gut feel, if you want, that you want to have. So yeah, it may not jump at the first conversation, and it may change, and it may change again as we progress our understanding. But that's it's not a linear process, and then need to recognize that you have to devote a bit of time and upfront to really work with the process. But I think we feel that we have at least our investment should be paying off in terms of time and involvement, and I think I feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic to hear, and I completely agree. It takes time. It's never a straightforward path. There will be lots of curves and bumps, and you never know what could happen. But I think as long as you're both mission focused and you both have that kind of gut instinct of there's something there, let's work together, let's figure it out. I think it's going to be very exciting to see what the future holds for the both of you. So Luc, I'll pass it on to you. Any final comments or things from the audience that you found pretty valuable in having this collaboration be formed, or takeaway message for them?
I think I echo Laurent's point about time. You know, we've worked with or tried to work with corporates with varying degrees of success. And one of the things we realize is like these collaborations, these are large companies, and you're trying to turn large companies or trying to change things. They're a lot more structured, and they have a lot more procedure that they have to follow. You know, being in a startup, you're used to having to zig and zag really quickly because, you know, time is money. So I don't know, maybe I would say with a collaboration like this shouldn't be your source of runway in a way if you're only starting the process now. That's an important consideration for startups.
Yeah, I think the pace that both companies work at is always very different. But yeah, I think that's a great message for the audience. And I want to thank you both again so much for your time and for being part of the program. I know we're technically at the end of the program, but I know this is really just the beginning of your collaboration and relationship together. So again, thank you so much for your time and your work over these 90 days. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing the success that comes out of this relationship together.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Really appreciate it.
Matt, Luc, and Laurent, thank you so much. Next, we have Drew, the Chief Marketing Officer of Universal Matter. Universal Matter develops and produces high-quality turbostratic graphene from plastic waste streams.
Hello, I'm Drew Kafalos, Chief Marketing Officer for Universal Matter. Universal Matter is an advanced materials company commercializing a new way to make graphene. Imagine a world where large volumes of underutilized carbon-based resources, including plastic waste, could be efficiently converted and upcycled into graphene. Subsequently, the graphene can be used to produce stronger, lighter, and more resilient downstream materials, thus enabling a more circular economy. The flash flow heating process innovation can effectively convert the carbon content from plastic waste into turbostratic graphene. The essence of this process is demonstrated with the schematic on this page, which utilizes electricity to rapidly heat the carbon from plastic to 3,000 degrees Kelvin in less than 1 second. Any non-carbon material sublimes off below this temperature and can be captured. The chemical bonds in the remaining carbon material are broken, and the carbon reforms into the hexagonal shape of graphene. We've successfully used this process to convert a wide range of plastic waste streams. For process efficiency, we are primarily focused on utilizing the plastic waste carbon char from the pyrolysis process. What is holding graphene back today are 4 things: quality, cost, a problematic manufacturing process that relies solely on graphite as a feedstock, and as a result of these 3 issues, a lack of scale today. We believe the flash flow heating process innovation will address these challenges and ultimately provide a much improved value proposition for graphene. The life cycle analysis for flash flow heating shows a far superior environmental footprint to make graphene, much less energy, no water, no chemicals, versus competitive technologies using chemical or mechanical exfoliation. Using concrete as an example, we have demonstrated with the addition of 0.1% of our graphene, a 20% improvement in compression strength can be achieved. We have modeled that using plastic waste as the feedstock so that you can see the potential impact on the waste stream. The process could consume 20 million tons of plastic waste to produce 3 million tons of graphene, which is then used to produce 3.2 billion tons of high-strength cement. This would result in a 17% reduction in cement requirements, or 0.6 billion tons, required to produce 26 billion tons of concrete. In addition to the obvious economic benefits, there would be about a 2% reduction in greenhouse gases. As we discussed earlier, we have a funded project to build our first manufacturing demonstration facility. This project is largely funded through Canadian grants and investors, and is designed to produce a ton a day or 300 tons annually, using pet coke and met coke as the feedstock streams. Over the past 18 months, we have scaled the original innovation at Rice University by 5,000 times. Over the past few months, we've also refined our proposal for the Apw Chemical Recycling Rfp. The highlights of this proposal are as follows. The feedstock would be based on plastic waste carbon char. The facility would be designed to produce 15 tons a day or 5,000 tons annually, and would consume about 6,000 tons of plastic waste carbon char. It would be one of the largest graphene production sites globally. We are specifically pursuing collaboration models with APW and its member companies to maximize and expedite the global impact on this waste stream. To provide some additional perspective, the cement industry alone would require over 250 plants of the scale proposed in the previous slide. The Graphene Council has identified over 40 major vertical markets where graphene is in advanced qualification or commercialization today. The market value is expected to reach 150 billion over the next 10 years. Our graphene could address many of the bulk and multi-layer market segments, those in blue and green, and we've established collaborators with industry leaders in at least 7 major markets. We've made excellent progress through the plug and play process, enhancing our collaborator ecosystem, which we believe will be a key enabler for the expeditious progress. We've also been able to advance our proposal for the Apw Recycling Rfp and growing our overall collaborator ecosystem. We are led by a very strong leadership team, having decades of experience and expertise gained from successful startup ventures involving scale-up of advanced materials for industrial applications.
Thanks, Drew. And this concludes our startup pitch session. I would now like to bring closer attention to the Clean for Change initiative. For our final announcement of today's event, we're delighted to announce that 2 Silicon Valley Batch 1 startups, Neutrality and Clean Robotics, have partnered with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste on the Clean for Change initiative. Neutrality is a mobile application that empowers people all over the world to collect and map litter in their environment. And Clean Robotics has built an autonomous system called TrashBot, which is an automated smart trash that combines next generation robotics, and the power of AI to differentiate recyclables from non-recyclable material. And I would now like to introduce you to Gurmit Singh, the Digital and Project Communication Lead of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, tell you more about the Alliance to End Plastic Waste Clean for Change initiative and their work with these startups.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gurmit. I am part of the project communications team in the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. Now, off the back of the success that we had from last year's all-together cleanup activation last year for World Cleanup Day, the results was phenomenal. We had over 49 member companies and partners in 78 countries that participated in the global cleanup. And close to 800,000 pieces of litter was picked up via the 44,000 downloads of the Neutrality app. The challenge this year was, how do we then turn last year's campaign into a movement that lives on? Introducing Clean for Change. Clean for Change program is an initiative powered by the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. Clean for Change is a 150-day program that aims to engage and educate audiences from all around the world, from grandparents, parents, teachers, and to children, and to teach them about recycling and encouraging community cleanup efforts through cleanup activities, grassroots community events, and school workshops. We want to empower people to appreciate, but more importantly, to act for their environment. Through the simple action of cleanup, we hope to take people on a journey to learn, understand, and then act together so that our rallying call to action of every cleanup is more than just a cleanup resonates. We want people to know that their individual actions do make a difference and that small collective actions will always lead to big impact. Hence, we have an always-on program spanning 7 milestones across this year, across 150 days, from community to on-ground activations, toolkits with content for downloads, learning, and partnership opportunities. We are also working in supporting member companies, volunteers, and communities in mass cleanup exercises to drive that behavior change. And even on the education front, this is where we will make available educational toolkits, resources for teachers and students to drive eco-literacy in school collaborations. The ambition of this program is that it starts to create a movement to encourage people from all walks of life to end plastic waste by cleaning up. And we're hoping to replicate and scale this program year on year so that we build on the action of cleanup and change awareness into habit. Now, how can viewers today get involved? Individuals and even their organizations can participate at cleanforchange.org, or you can reach us at cleanforchange@endplasticwaste.org for more information. Again, watch out for more rollouts over the next few months on our website, where we will release volunteer and educational toolkits for even schools to take part. Plus, we will also build more functionality into our website, where people can also then take part in existing cleanups or even create one of their own. After all, we want to make every cleanup more than just a cleanup. Thank you.
What does it take to change the world? Is it when laws are changed? When corporations apply the might of their resources? When technology provides new breakthroughs? Or could it start with the smallest of actions? Like a single cleanup? Cleanup can turn something that we throw away into moments that we cherish. It can be the spark for a movement. Don't believe those who say you can't change the world. all starts with one simple act.
Thank you, Gurmit. This is a very exciting initiative, and I highly encourage everyone to participate. And that's it for me. Again, don't hesitate to reach out, and if any of the startup sparked your interest, maybe on Attendify right after. And I'll pass it on to Matt to conclude this week's summit. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Now, before I pass it off to Sophia to go over the networking portion of today's event, there's just a few things I'd like to go over with you. So first off, the Alliance to End Plastic Waste APAC region call for applications is currently open. So if you are a startup or if you know of a startup that's currently headquartered in Asia that's working on tackling plastic waste that falls into the focus areas I described earlier, such as waste collection, waste sorting, waste processing, and use markets for plastic waste, financial incentives for bringing plastic waste back, waste material exchange, design of better plastic waste to make, or plastics to make it easier to recycle, or river pollution prevention, please feel free to reach out to myself or a member of our team, or you can log on to our website and fill out a 30-second application there, and we'll take a look and speak with you about the opportunity. And next, I'd also love to announce that we'll be launching our Johannesburg office on June 8th with the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and we'll be sending all the attendees of today's event a flyer for that, and we'd love to see you there. And lastly, I know you've heard a lot of exciting announcements from startups and how they've been able to partner with different companies or with different startups, and some of the amazing announcements that have come from the prior batches from our previous programs. And we'd love to encourage all of you to get involved, because it really is going to take all of us working together to tackle these complex issues such as ending plastic waste or going carbon neutral or having better water security and resilience around the world. And that's really what Plug and Play is all about. We're here to bring people together and help them connect in a very strategic way and really move the needle forward in tackling these very complex environmental issues. And again, if you'd love to get involved, please reach out to myself or a member of our team, and we're more than happy to get on a call with you and figure out how we can work together. So with that, thank you all so much for your time today. We really sincerely appreciate it. And I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Sophia, who will tell you about the networking portion of today's event. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Matt. So now I'm just going to quickly go over how to network on Attendify. Quickly, my name is Sophia Willis, and I'm the Program Manager of Sustainability and New Materials and Packaging here at Plug and Play. So as you can see here on each slide, each startup will have their own booth. Here you can see the information for each startup. You can find them by using the filter button, and then if you want to meet with someone, simply click the Meet Now button. The Meet Now button will allow you to have one-on-one video chats with the startups in their virtual booths. Green is go. This means they're ready to chat now. To all the startups here in the audience, please make sure to turn on your Meet Now feature under your name, under the icon, as you can see on the screen here. You can also feel free to scan the QR code. So you can see here that the partners in the next slide, these 6 programs, there's partners from all 6 programs in alphabetical order. So today's the last day of Summit, but you can still chat and see all of the partners that were involved during and throughout the 6 days. Learn more about their initiatives and meet with some of their team members with the Meet Now function. In the Community and Participants tab, you can see the profiles of all the Summit attendees. If you wish to send a message, you can do so by clicking on the Send Message button. You can also search attendees in the upper left on the upper search bar. So if you don't want to scroll through all the attendees, you can just search. Now, with that, we can just go ahead and end this session. I just wanted to note that this is the last day of Spring Summit, but the event will be open until the end of May. So please be sure to log back in periodically and check the messages from fellow attendees. On behalf of myself and the entire Plug and Play team, thank you so much for joining Spring Summit 2021.